You were marked since birth, and that's why they hate you. Have you ever felt like you didn't quite belong, no matter how hard you tried to fit in? Like something about you has always stood out, even when you did everything in your power to stay small, to stay silent, to not be seen. Maybe you've noticed the strange stares, the cold shoulders, the subtle jealousy. Or maybe it wasn't so subtle. Maybe people have attacked you, excluded you, lied about you, or simply turned their backs when you needed them most, without any clear reason why. Let me tell you something you may have never dared to believe. You were marked since birth. And that mark, though invisible to the naked eye, can be felt. It radiates. It makes you unforgettable. It makes you different. And in a world addicted to sameness, that difference makes people uncomfortable. This isn't just a poetic idea. It's a truth many of the most powerful, most visionary, most misunderstood souls have lived through. From the prophets of old to the quiet warriors of today, there are people who come into this world carrying a weight, a light, a divine signature stamped on their spirit. And though they themselves might not understand it at first, the world around them senses it immediately. You were never meant to be ordinary. And deep down, you've always known that. But here's the catch. Being marked doesn't come with applause. It comes with resistance. The light in you exposes the shadows in others. Your courage challenges their fear. Your truth disrupts their illusions. And so, they hate you, not because you're wrong, but because you're real. This speech is not for everyone. It's for the ones who've walked through life wondering why they've been so misunderstood, why they've been attacked, dismissed, or abandoned, often by the very people they loved most. It's for those who felt punished for simply being who they are. If that sounds like you, then hear me now. You were chosen for something greater. But you cannot walk in your purpose if you don't first understand what that mark truly means and why it provokes the reactions it does. This journey we're about to take together isn't just about pain. It's about power. It's about reclaiming the narrative that others tried to write for you. It's about understanding that you were hated not because of your weakness, but because of your potential. So before we begin, take a breath. Stand tall. You are not cursed. You are not broken. You are called. And everything you've suffered wasn't in vain. It was shaping you for the moment when your mark would finally make sense. That moment starts now. The mark you didn't ask for. There are some truths we come to learn not through books or classrooms, but through the ache of experience, through the quiet agony of being different in a world that demands conformity. And if you're here listening to these words, I have a feeling you've carried that ache for as long as you can remember. I'm not talking about superficial differences like the clothes you wore or the music you liked. I'm talking about the deeper knowing, the haunting sense that you were born carrying something other people could not understand, a vibration they couldn't name but instinctively feared. From the earliest days of your life, something about you refused to be ordinary. Maybe you noticed it in the way you thought deeply when others stayed on the surface. Maybe you saw it in how you felt emotions that others seemed to numb or deny. Maybe it showed up in the way you questioned what you were told, resisted what felt false, and followed your own path even when it made you the outsider. Whatever form it took, the result was the same. You were marked. Not by choice, not by ego, but by design. This mark isn't visible in a mirror, but it's seen in your eyes by those who know how to look. It's a mark that sets your spirit apart, not above anyone else, but apart. You didn't ask for it. You didn't pray for it. But it was placed upon you like a seal, a divine imprint, a whisper from the heavens that said, "This one will walk a different road." And oh, how lonely that road has been. There is an unspeakable isolation that follows the marked soul. It begins in childhood, when your sensitivity is labeled weakness, when your curiosity is seen as defiance, when your light is mistaken for arrogance. You try to adapt. You try to belong. But the more you shrink, the more it hurts. Because no matter how you bend yourself to fit in, your spirit refuses to break. That's what being marked does. It will not allow you to betray your own essence, even if it costs you acceptance. People often talk about being chosen like it's some glorious title. They forget to mention the suffering. They forget the sleepless nights, the battles fought in silence, the wounds hidden behind polite smiles. You see, the mark comes before the mission. And long before you understand why you're different, the world reacts to you as if you're a threat. It's not your fault. In fact, many of the people who mistreated you couldn't even explain why they felt uneasy around you. But your energy, your presence, it disrupts the norm. It stirs the stagnant. It shakes the foundations. And for those who are clinging to comfort, your very existence becomes uncomfortable. That is the burden of being marked. You become a mirror, and most people are terrified to look into it. But here's what I want you to understand. That mark is not a mistake. It is not a punishment. It is not a curse. It is your calling card from the divine. It is the seed of greatness planted within you long before you had language to describe it. And like any seed, it must go through darkness to grow. That's why your early years were filled with so much confusion, so much rejection, so much pain. You were never meant to bloom where others found comfort. You were meant to break the mold, to challenge the script, to awaken something new. And that kind of destiny doesn't come gently. It comes with fire. The world doesn't celebrate the marked soul until after they've proven themselves, until after they've bled, until after they've survived the desert of isolation. But hear me, your worth is not defined by applause. Your value is not measured by how well you're liked. You were not marked to be popular. You were marked to be true. And the truth, throughout history, has rarely been welcomed with open arms. It has been mocked, resisted, and crucified. But it always rises. Always. And so will you. If you've ever wondered why you attract so many battles, why doors close that should have opened, why people betray you without cause, consider this. Maybe it's not because you're unworthy. Maybe it's because you're too powerful for where you are. Maybe your spirit speaks too loudly, even when your lips are silent. Maybe the mark on you threatens the systems around you because it was never meant to bow to them. That doesn't mean you need to change who you are. It means you need to remember who you've always been. There will come a time, and perhaps that time is now, when you can no longer deny your own light just to keep others comfortable. You will have to choose between blending in and breaking through, between being accepted and being authentic, between being liked and being legendary. And that choice won't be easy, but it will be necessary, because the mark you carry is not going away. It's only growing stronger. The more you try to silence it, the louder your soul will scream. And the more you try to hide it, the more your life will feel like a lie. You were marked for a reason, and the longer you run from that reason, the more suffering you invite. But the moment you embrace it, the moment you say, yes, I am different, and yes, I was born for more, everything begins to shift. So let this be your awakening. Let this be the moment you stop apologizing for being uncommon. The world doesn't need more of the same. It needs the fire you've been hiding. It needs the truth you've been whispering to yourself in the dark. It needs the leader, the healer, the visionary that was born the moment you were marked. You didn't choose this, but you can choose what to do with it now. You can choose to step into the purpose that's been waiting on you all along. And once you do, you'll realize everything they tried to break in you was sacred. Everything they hated in you was holy. And every wound was just preparing the way for your rise. Why they hate you, even if you did nothing wrong. It's one of the hardest truths to accept, that people can hate you for reasons that have nothing to do with what you've done and everything to do with who you are. It's confusing at first, especially when you were raised to believe that if you're kind, respectful, humble, and sincere, the world will return that energy to you. But when you're marked, that equation doesn't hold. Because the hate that comes your way isn't rational, it's spiritual. It's not about your behavior. It's about your presence. It's about what you represent to people who haven't yet made peace with themselves. Understand this. You carry something in your spirit that exposes what others have buried. Your light, even if it's quiet, is a threat to the shadows others are still clinging to. Your authenticity disrupts the masks they wear. Your courage challenges their complacency. Your purpose reminds them of the dreams they gave up on. And when people are unwilling to confront their own pain, their own lies, or their own failures, they will turn you into the enemy. Not because you've harmed them, but because you remind them of what they've refused to become. This is why you've been misunderstood. This is why you've been falsely judged, gossiped about, excluded, or attacked without cause. The pain in others sees the truth in you and flinches. They may not even know why they don't like you. They may not be able to articulate it. But deep down, something in their spirit senses that you are not like them. And instead of seeking to understand that difference, they try to destroy it. That's the nature of unconscious fear. It doesn't ask questions. It just reacts. There is something unsettling about someone who walks with clarity in a world built on confusion. There's something unnerving about someone who cannot be easily manipulated. And when you don't need validation, when you're not afraid to stand alone, when you refuse to water yourself down to gain approval. That's when the opposition rises. Because most people are still asleep. Most people are still waiting for permission to be themselves. But you, even if you've been quiet, have always had a fire they couldn't control. And for many, that's intolerable. They hate you because you survived what should have destroyed you. They hate you because you didn't fold under pressure. They hate you because every time life knocked you down, you rose again with more power, more grace, more purpose. And maybe worst of all, they hate you because they see in you the version of themselves they were too afraid to become. That hate isn't really about you. It's about their own reflection. You might ask, why me? I didn't ask for this. And that's true. You didn't. But being chosen doesn't come with fairness. It comes with fire. And fire reveals everything, both the gold and the garbage. When you walk into a room, your energy speaks before you do. And those who carry shame, jealousy, bitterness, or hidden insecurities feel the weight of your spirit without a word being spoken. That's not your fault, but it is your reality. You were never meant to make everyone comfortable. You were meant to shake something loose in this world. You were born to challenge what's false. And the first reaction to truth is almost always resistance. But here's the deeper insight. The hate you receive is actually a twisted form of recognition. It means they see you, even if they don't understand you. It means you're not invisible. Your presence has power. You disturb their illusions. And that disturbance, though painful, is part of your purpose. You are not here to be tolerated. You are here to awaken. An awakening is rarely welcomed with open arms. Some will try to silence you, not because you're loud, but because your truth echoes too deeply. Others will try to belittle you, not because you're small, but because your greatness makes them feel exposed. And then there are those who will smile to your face and quietly work to undermine you, not out of genuine malice, but out of envy wrapped in politeness. These are the battles you never asked for, but they come with the territory of being marked. You're not being punished. You're being prepared. Every attack, every rejection, every betrayal is not a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that your light is shining where darkness is used to being undisturbed. But you must be careful. You must not let their hate infect your heart. You must not shrink to make them feel comfortable, nor should you dim your light to make them feel safe. Their discomfort is not your responsibility. Your only responsibility is to remain true, to stand firm, to walk in purpose, even when the road is lonely. Because the same people who hate you now may one day need the strength you're building. And the same ones who curse your name today may remember you as the one who never gave up. The reality is, some people will hate you no matter what you do, whether you win or lose, whether you speak or stay silent, whether you shine or hide. So why not choose to be real? Why not choose to be free? Why not walk boldly in the mark that's already yours? The more you rise, the more the hate may grow, but so will your influence. So will your wisdom. So will your connection with others who carry the same mark. You are not alone. There are others like you, warriors in disguise, leaders in the making, souls who were forged in rejection so they could walk in revelation. And together, you are unstoppable. So let them hate. Let them misunderstand. Let them project their pain onto you. But never forget, you were never born to blend in. You were born to break cycles, to challenge systems, to carry a light so fierce that the darkness has no choice but to tremble. And if that makes you a target, so be it. That only proves what you've known all along. You are different. You are marked. And that mark is not a weakness, it's a weapon. The power of embracing your mark. There comes a time in every marked soul's journey when hiding is no longer an option, when running doesn't work anymore, when the weight of suppression becomes heavier than the cost of truth. That time is now. You've spent enough of your life trying to dilute your essence to make others feel at ease. You've apologized for your light. You've questioned your instincts. You've second-guessed your power because the world made you believe that being different was dangerous. But what if the danger was never in your difference? What if the danger was in denying it? You were marked not to suffer in silence, but to awaken something dormant in the world. The moment you embrace that mark, everything changes. Your pain becomes your fuel. Your isolation becomes your sanctuary. Your scars become sacred. The very things you thought disqualified you are, in fact, the evidence that you were forged for something greater. Because no one gets marked and stays the same. The fire you've walked through was never meant to burn you. It was meant to build you. But embracing your mark requires a death. The death of your former self. The death of your need for approval. The death of the old story that says you are too much, too intense, too complicated, too sensitive, too real. Those lies have no place in your destiny. You must bury them now. Because the version of you that's rising, the version that owns their voice, honors their calling, and walks with authority, is not someone the world can manipulate anymore. You see, the enemy of your soul never feared the broken version of you. It feared the healed one, the awake one, the unstoppable one. And that's who you're becoming. The more you embrace your mark, the more you start living on purpose. You stop chasing crowds and start chasing truth. You stop begging for tables and start building your own. You stop asking to be chosen and realize you were chosen long ago. Not by people, not by systems, but by something higher, deeper, more eternal. That divine mark you carry is not for decoration, it's for impact. You were born to disrupt cycles, to shift atmospheres, to plant seeds in barren places. And that's why your path has never been easy. You were given mountains not to crush you, but to teach you how to move them. You were betrayed not to make you bitter, but to teach you discernment. You were rejected not because you were unworthy, but because they were unready. Everything that didn't work out was part of your training. Every closed door was divine protection. Every no was clearing space for a yes aligned with your purpose. So now the question is, will you finally own it? Will you wear your mark like a crown instead of a wound? Will you stop explaining your calling to people who were never meant to understand it? Will you stop looking for validation from those who are intimidated by your truth? You don't need their permission. You never did. What you need is alignment. Alignment with who you really are. Alignment with your assignment. Alignment with the version of yourself you were always meant to become. This is the power of embracing your mark. It transforms every pain into purpose, every delay into preparation, every storm into strength. You begin to see that being hated was never the enemy. It was the signal that you were ahead of your time, that you carried answers they didn't even know they were searching for. You weren't rejected because you lacked value. You were rejected because you threatened the system, because your very presence made them question their false security. That's power, and it's time you used it. But power without wisdom is dangerous. And that's why you had to walk through the fire first. That's why the process took so long. Because you were not just being gifted, you were being refined. You were being stripped of ego, cleansed of illusion, grounded in humility. And now, with both fire and grace in your bones, you're ready. Ready to speak, ready to lead, ready to stand. And most importantly, ready to heal. Because embracing your mark is not just about self-empowerment. It's about responsibility. You carry influence whether you want it or not. People are watching you. They're listening to you. They're following your footsteps. And the way you walk with your mark will give others the courage to walk with theirs. This isn't just about you anymore. This is about legacy, about purpose, about igniting a chain reaction that sets others free. So stop shrinking. Stop apologizing. Stop trying to explain spiritual truths to minds still ruled by fear. The lion doesn't explain itself to the sheep, and the light doesn't ask permission to shine in the dark. You've spent enough time dimming who you are. Now it's time to rise, to walk with authority, to speak with clarity, to act with conviction. Because when you embrace your mark, you don't just change your life, you change everything around you. People will still hate. That won't stop, but you won't be shaken anymore. Because when you truly know who you are, when you stand rooted in your divine identity, no attack can undo you. No lie can distract you. No rejection can break you. You'll move with a different kind of fire, a sacred boldness. You'll know that you're not here to be liked. You're here to be effective. So wear your mark. Stand in your truth. Speak what others are afraid to say. Lead where others hesitate. Love when it's hard. Forgive when it's painful. And keep rising, again and again, until the world has no choice but to recognize what heaven already knew, that you were never ordinary. You were never meant to fit in. You were always set apart. You were marked since birth. And that's exactly why they couldn't stop you. Walking forward, living as one who is marked. So now you know. You were never broken. You were never cursed. You were marked, set apart, chosen, awakened. And now that you've embraced that truth, the real question becomes, how will you live from this moment forward? Because once you awaken to your mark, once you accept the divine fingerprint upon your soul, life no longer allows you to live small. The excuses no longer satisfy. The fears no longer control. You can't return to who you were before. That person was surviving. But this new version of you? This version is ready to build, to speak, to create, to lead. To walk as one who is marked means to walk differently. Not arrogantly, not with pride, but with purpose. It means waking up each morning not asking, "What do I need to prove?" but instead, "What truth do I need to live out today?" It means being intentional with your words, your presence, your energy, because everything about you now carries weight. You become a voice where others are silent, a presence where others disappear. You become the answer to a question the world didn't even know it was asking. And sometimes, that will feel like pressure, but you were built for it. You'll still be tempted, even now, to doubt yourself. The world doesn't stop being noisy just because you've found your clarity. People will still question your motives, test your patience, and challenge your purpose. But you must walk forward anyway. You must learn to guard your energy like treasure, because not everyone deserves access to your soul. You must stop watering deserts that were never meant to grow. Stop explaining your essence to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. That's not your work anymore. Your work now is alignment. Your work is legacy. Your work is impact. There is something holy about someone who has made peace with being misunderstood, because they are no longer a slave to image. They're no longer performing. They walk into a room not needing to dominate it, but to bless it. Not needing attention, but carrying presence. That's you now. You don't need to chase significance. You already are significant. You don't need to fight for worth. You've been worthy since birth. Your power isn't in noise. It's in stillness. It's in the way your feet don't flinch anymore. The way your eyes don't dart around looking for validation. The way your spirit stands tall, even in silence. When you walk as one who is marked, you'll begin to see doors open that logic cannot explain. Opportunities will appear, not because of your resume, but because of your resonance. People will be drawn to you not for what you've done, but for who you are becoming. And yes, some will be offended by your growth. Some will whisper behind your back. Some will even walk away when they see you step into your calling. Let them. Your path is not their responsibility. Their approval is not your assignment. You do not owe your destiny an apology. There's a reason the world fought so hard to make you doubt yourself. There's a reason you were attacked before you even understood your value. Because marked people are always the most dangerous to systems built on lies. Your very existence is resistance. Every time you speak truth in a world full of noise, you disrupt patterns. Every time you show compassion in a time of cruelty, you shift energy. Every time you stand your ground while others bend, you remind people of who they could be. And for those not ready to rise, that reminder feels like a threat. But let them be uncomfortable. Let them feel the fire. Because you didn't go through everything you survived just to return to silence. Your voice is needed. Your story matters. Your healing is someone else's survival manual. Your courage is the blueprint someone else is looking for. So walk boldly now. Not perfectly, but authentically. Not to impress, but to impact. And know that every time you doubt yourself, heaven still whispers, "I marked you for this." Your journey will still carry challenges. The mark doesn't guarantee ease, it guarantees meaning. You will be tested, yes. But now, you'll face those tests with eyes wide open. You'll stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this preparing me for?" That's the shift. That's the evolution. The world breaks people who have no root. But you're rooted in something deeper now. And storms can't move a soul anchored in truth. So keep rising. Keep building. Keep protecting your peace. There will be days when you feel tired, even lonely. That's okay. Don't forget, the mark doesn't just isolate, it connects. There are others out there like you. Quiet warriors. Gentle giants. People walking through fire with grace. People marked by pain, but transformed by purpose. And when you meet them, you'll know. Their eyes will carry the same fire. Their silence will feel like home. And you will remember, you were never truly alone. Just hidden, preserved, protected, until the right moment. That moment is now. In the end, the greatest victory of the marked soul is not the praise they receive. It's not the position they hold or the platform they build. It's the quiet knowing that they remained true, that they answered the call, that they didn't let the world bury their light, that when history tried to erase them, they chose to be unforgettable. That's your destiny. That's your power. You were marked since birth, not for comfort, but for greatness. And no matter who hates you, No matter what you've lost, no matter how many times they tried to dim your flame, it wasn't enough. You're still here, still rising, still chosen. So go, walk forward, speak boldly, love deeply, and never forget, you are not who the world says you are. You are who you were always meant to be. You are marked, and you are ready.